Welcome to this very special edition of Talk Yours post draft analysis. I'm here with Corby and Mateen, and right now it is 3 a.m. on the East Coast. Thankfully, we're living in Utah. We got a nice, cool 1 a.m. here, and we're going to be giving you our very unprofessional, uneducated, and completely bullshit opinions on the draft. So let's get right into it, guys. Pick number one, Victor Wembanyama. How are you grading it?
It's an A plus. I wanted to give it lower just because it's not anything that just like it's the obvious pick, it's the expected pick, but it's just an A plus. He's an incredible talent, 7'5", can do it all. And apparently, if he's Hakeem Olajuwon, his career's a failure. So.
Which is just such a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, I don't know how you could expect him to be anything more than a Hall of Famer. But yeah, I'm giving it an A plus too. Easy A plus. It was the obvious pick, but that doesn't stop it from being one of the better picks in the draft.
Nothing else to say. I mean,
All right, perfect.
Yeah, it was too predictable. We don't have to talk about it.
All right. And so now we're going from one of the best picks in the draft to one of the most controversial picks in the draft. And I'm going to start with Mateen on this one. What are you going to grade this Brandon Miller pick at number 2?
I think just because of how high I am on Scoot, I'm gonna give the pick a C. And it's not because Brandon Miller's a bad prospect. I think it's just because of how good of a prospect that Scoot is. It has nothing to do with Brandon Miller. I think he could be an all-star one day. He has that potential, but I just feel like you can't pass up on Scoot. You just can't. So for me, it gets a C.
No, I agree with everything you said. But I'm even lower on this pick. I'm giving it a D because
Wow.
I don't see in what world you pass up on a player who would go number 1 in most other drafts just purely because of what you might consider fit. I get it. Scoot's a primary ball handler, and you've already got LaMelo, but there is no reason in my mind to pass up on a talent like Scoot for Brandon Miller, whose ceiling is likely, like you're saying, all-star. I don't know that he'll ever make an all-NBA team. I don't know that, he'll ever amount to that. Whereas with Scoot, that's kind of the expectation. He has generational talent written on him. I just don't see how you pass up on that.
Yeah, I give it a C plus. I just think these prospects that go into the year top 10, 15, and then they have a really good year, they all of a sudden jump, and you just see these drastic changes. Like Brandon Miller wasn't supposed to be a finisher, and this year at Alabama he did finish inside. He's supposed to be the next Paul George, but the handle isn't there, the passing isn't there, and just overall Scoot consistently throughout his career, young career, has shown that he's the better prospect. And I just think you can't take this 1 year of I don't know. I'm not saying Brandon Miller's a fluke, but he's also just not the best prospect. He's not even that great of a fit. Like he's a good fit next to LaMelo, and it makes sense if like he was a role man who could really fit LaMelo, but he's just a shooter. I mean,
Yeah.
and I know MJ actually did say that when he was talking to Brandon Miller, and Brandon Miller tried to argue it him with it, but he is kind of just a shooter. I mean, he could do the other things a little good. Like he's an athlete, he can score inside a little bit, but I don't see the potential.
Yeah, I mean,
Go prove us wrong, Brandon Miller.
Yeah.
Not much to say. You got a chip on his shoulder. Go,
hey
go
man,
prove us wrong.
Charlotte deserves to have something good happen to him.
Yeah.
Moving on to pick number 3, the man himself, Scoot Henderson. I'm gonna start on this one. I'm grading it an A plus. I think even though he's only one pick down from where he should have been picked, I think this is one of the absolute steals of this draft. Second best prospect in this draft by far. It's Victor and Scoot, and then it's everybody else. And for the Blazers to get him at 3, is just an absolute steal. The only problem is where do you go with Dame from here now? Obviously, it's something we could delve more into in the future, but it puts Portland in a very tough situation where they took the best player available. It was the right decision, but what do you do now about your superstar?
Yeah, I give it an A plus and an A minus. These next two picks are the only picks that I have just like multiple grades because it's an A plus, assuming they get rid of Damian Lillard, which I think will happen. But if they don't get rid of Dame, I mean, he's the best prospect, but it's just not a good fit. And I just think it will hinder his development being in Portland. But it's the best pick you could have made.
A plus. I mean, they took best player available, which is something I think a team should always do, and that's what they did. So nothing much to say there.
All right. And then number 4, we're going back to back on this one, as you'll see in a second. But we got Amen, first of the Thompson twins, going 4th overall. It's an interesting pick. Obviously the best player, but our best player left on the board at that point at number 4, according to most draft analysts. but an interesting prospect coming out of overtime elite. What do you think on?
Honestly, I like the pick because Almond is so diverse in terms of what position he could play. He could literally play 1 through 3. And with the way the game is now, it's positionless. So I think, bearing the free agency moves, if James Harden goes there or not, we'll see. But personally, I'm gonna give the pick a B plus because we don't know what these overtime elite guys are gonna be like in the league. We don't know how it's gonna translate. But I do like the pick from Houston. So yeah, I'll give it a B plus.
Yeah. Did you give it a grade?
No, I was letting Mateen go first on that one. I mean, just
Okay, I can go ahead and go. I'm giving it, and this is another situation, A plus if they don't get James Harden because I just think James Harden will hinder the development. You don't want to play Amon at the 2 or 3. You don't want to put him at the backup 1. You want him as your starting point guard on your team. If you get James Harden, it'll just hurt him. And yeah, it's an F if they do get James Harden because of
an
that.
F.
An F. Like I'm not even joking.
I
Like,
mean, that's
I
just
think
crazy to say. Like an F, you're not taking any talent away from the player that you drafted just by adding on another player.
I just think he'll never get the production. Maybe like 8 years down the line, he'd eventually get some production. But if you put him at the 2 or 3, he can't shoot. He's not really built to guard wings per se. I think he's really good, even though he is 6'7". He's the length of a wing. I think he's just better guarding guards because of his quickness, his athleticism. But he's honestly like my 3rd best player in the draft. I think he's better than Brandon Miller as a prospect. And I just think that you can't blame a guy for dominating whatever is in front of him. And anything that he did in the overtime elite, I think he's just going to do in the NBA. Like, his quickness. I understand these are 16, 17-year-old guys, but it's not like everyone in the NBA is this ultra athlete. It might be kind of getting there right now, but like, I think he's going to be easily just coming into the league at 19 years old, like a top 10, top 5 athlete just in the entire league. So yeah, A plus, and I don't think they will get James Harden, so I'll give it an A plus. And this will be, I've given 3 A pluses so far, so this will be the last one for a while.
Pick a A plus.
I'm giving this one a B plus too. I think he was the right player to take at the time. So organization obviously made the right decision. I'm pretty high on his athleticism, his ball handling ability, all that. It's just again the fact that he played in the league that he played in against the competition that he did. And I understand what you're saying. You can't control who you play against. You got to dominate who's put out in front of you. But it does raise some questions with regard to how is he going to respond to the quickness of the NBA? How is he going to respond to the additional athleticism placed in front of him? And how is he going to respond to playing on a team where he's not the focal point, right? Because when you play on a team that's worse, you're usually going to get more touches than when you play on a team that's better. And you got to remember, he's going to a situation in Houston. Even if James Harden doesn't go there, he's still got Jalen Green there. And Jalen Green wants his touches. That's the number 2 overall pick from just a couple years ago. So at some point, you have to find a way to balance it out between those guys where you're developing Amen while also allowing your number 2 overall pick to continue to hopefully blossom into the elite scorer that you want him to be, if that's the direction Houston chooses to go. But I'm curious. I wanted to ask you real quick. You're grading this an F if Houston gets Harden. Who do you think they should have taken instead of Thompson if their plan is to get Harden in the offseason?
Yeah, at the time, I'd definitely say Whitmore, but like looking in hindsight, there might be something. We'll talk about Whitmore later, but like there might be something wrong with him. So honestly, I'd probably go. I don't know. I don't really think there's that many good fits. Maybe Anthony Black, just because he's just a good point of attack defender that I don't think Jalen Green can be, and I think one of your guards has to be a really good point of attack defender eventually for a championship team, for a championship run. So I'd probably go him, but like I don't think there's that many. I feel like they should have traded down if they didn't get Amen Thompson. Just in hindsight, because obviously at the time Whitmore just looked like an amazing fit. And I still think he is, and he is a Houston Rocket. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, I mean everything
worked out. Yeah.
All right. Second of the Thompson twins, Asar. Is that how you pronounce
Asar.
his name? Asar. I always get it confused, but yeah, going number 5. And Corby, what are your thoughts on the second Thompson twin?
I don't. At first, I didn't like the fit, so I was going to give it kind of a lower grade, but I still think this is a great prospect, number 6 on my draft board. And I think you kind of look at OKC, what they're doing. They don't really have that many shooters, and yet they're still kind of winning games even without their star number 2 pick. I don't think you necessarily need that many shooters on your team, but just looking at the Pistons, Cade, Ivy, they now have Asar, Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren. They just don't really have that many shooters, and that's why I'd rather go more for fit. You want talent first, And if it was talent, I guess I'd go Jarris Walker, who was projected there for a certain amount of time. But I'll give it a B minus. I think it's a good pick. It's not a great pick, and it's not a bad pick. It's a pretty okay pick to me.
Yeah, I give it a B too. It doesn't strike me as anything dramatic. It seems like a pretty safe pick in that position. I don't think he'll start right away, obviously, because you've got to have Ivy and Cade, and I don't know that you can really play him at the 3. So I think he's gonna have to struggle to find his fit in the NBA a little bit, just being that he works better as a wing, but he does have certain discrepancies that you will find at the wing position in the NBA that you want out of an elite wing player, especially on a team with 2 elite ball handlers. So I think I grade this a B just because I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to find his rhythm. But once he gets there, I think he'll be a really solid contributor for them.
I'm gonna give it a B minus too. Keep it simple. I think it'll be interesting to see how he fares in a backcourt with Ivy and Cade. Cade is 6'8", so he's interchangeable. You can pretty much play him anywhere. It's positionless basketball, so I think he'll plug in real easily with those guys. But it should be an interesting trio to watch for the future. Should be. B minus.
All right. Next up, number 6 pick. We are really just rolling right through this. We got Anthony Black to the Orlando Magic with the number 6 pick. And I'm grading this an A. I'm actually really high on this pick. I like the way he looks next to who they have already. I think regardless of what happened, I mean, I looked at the other prospects coming after, and I mean, you could have taken maybe Walker or Hendricks, but regardless at that guard spot, you were going to have a problem with Suggs and Fultz already, and you were probably going to draft another guard. So I don't know where that leaves them with that, but in terms of Anthony Black's versatility as a playmaker and as a defender, I think he has the tools to come in and be an impact player right away in the NBA. And the offensive intricacies and sort of, little details will come to him over time, hopefully, as he continues to develop. But I don't know. I see a guy with length, height, strength who can play make right away in the league. And I see a guy who can make an immediate impact on a team who seemingly is starting to build the pieces to make at least a play-in run next year.
I like the pick, honestly. At first, I didn't like the pick, but the more I thought about it, I really do like the pick because Anthony Black's one of those players that is really versatile in the way he can play basketball. And I think him next to Franz and Paulo is going to be very fun to watch. So I'm going to give the pick an A minus. I'm not going to give it an A. Give it an A minus.
Understandable. I mean, I'm probably higher on it than
Okay. Go ahead.
I just believe. I just don't know. I didn't like the pick at first, but the more I sat down and thought about it, that team is it's lengthy, and you add Anthony Black to
you
it.
could put Fultz at the 1 too,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, that's a lot of length to try to get around.
I like the pick. I'll give it an A minus.
Okay. I'm pretty low on the pick. I'm pretty low on Anthony Black, and I'm pretty low on. I think they need shooting. I think Anthony Black. I think I had him number 13 on my 14 on my big board. Just overall, his shooting. He's very questionable there. He's not really that athletic, or he's not really he doesn't have a quick first step at all. And he's supposed to be a point guard because at the shooting guard, he's a good cutter. Don't get me wrong, but just he has to be a catch and shoot player at that point, and that's not really utilizing his playmaking if he's a 2. But I don't absolutely hate it just because the Magic do need defense. That's one thing they need. Because Markel's decent. Suggs might eventually be good, but also they do have a bunch of point guards. Like they have Cole Anthony, they have Jalen Suggs, Markel Fultz. It's kind of a logjam, and I was hoping that one of the point guards would get traded during the draft if they got a point guard. And maybe eventually that will happen. Anthony Black, I want him to prove me wrong because I don't. People call him Josh Giddey with defense, and it's I see the defense part, but I don't really see too much of Josh Giddey. And also, Josh Giddey was a weird prospect to begin with to even evaluate because he's not quick and he just somehow scores. I don't know how to explain how he scores. It's random. He uses he's just a big layup guy, but
a lot of blooded body positioning, a lot of footwork, and but yeah, it is.
And that's something you really have to depend on with Anthony Black. And it's do you really want to bet on that versus a shooter? I was honestly hoping that they traded down from this pick, assuming Asar was gone because I liked Asar as a fit because I kind of trust him more.
Maybe got
defensively.
a Grady Dick or someone like that.
Yeah, for sure. And the fact that they didn't get him later, we'll talk about. But yeah, I give it a C. I didn't really like it. Yeah,
That's I don't
pretty
know.
low.
It's a little harsh for a guy coming
is.
into the NBA with all the tools you're looking for, aside from an elite offensive game.
I mean, it's like when you don't have a good burst or quick first step, it's really hard to create for your teammates. Even if you're a good passer, it's going to be hard for him to get assists.
I mean, his floor is Kyle Anderson, and when you think about it, probably minus some of the catch and shoot ability.
Yeah, I guess I can see. It's also like, yeah, the Magic don't have like Paulo isn't that great of a 3-point shooter. Franz is okay. He's really good at finishing, but just 3-pointers, he's like average. I just don't.
I mean,
don't
that's where you hope maybe Jalen Suggs will actually fill out his billing as an elite 3-point shooter, and then you can trade Cole Anthony and get someone who fits the team better.
Yeah.
For the positions that you need. Not that Cole Anthony doesn't fit the team well or that he's not a good player, but yeah, logjam at point guard.
Yeah, I will say the Magic are pretty bad in the fast break, so them getting Anthony Black might be a big help. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right. Well, number 7, kind of an interesting pick in my opinion. Bilal Coulibaly, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Small forward going to the Indiana Pacers, and I'm
the-
reading this one
To the Wizards.
or to the Wizards.
It was a trade.
I'm reading off of the draft board. ESPN doesn't know what they're talking about. It's not me. But yeah, so this is an interesting pick in my opinion. I'm grading it a B. I think obviously you play next to Victor Wembanyama, you're going to get more attention from scouts. I think he's only 18 too,
He is, yeah.
which leaves him a lot of room for development. But I think there's also sometimes an issue with putting guys that young into the league because you want them to build up confidence, and you're 18 years old, you haven't even grown into your body yet in that full like build out, fill out, build muscle type of way, and you're playing against grown men, which he has been in a professional league, granted, but NBA is a different animal. So this one was a hard one for me to judge because I look at him I'm like, I think he has all the right tools to be, again, I don't know what to expect out of some of these guys because I feel like everyone looks at the top 10 guys in the draft and is like, you got to be an all-star or you're a bust at that point. So I don't want to say like it's success for his career if he turns out to be a solid contributor or a solid starter because of where he was drafted. But I feel like that's very much within his realm to do. I feel like he fits with what the Pacers are trying to do, and he fits with the timeline
the
of the
Wizards.
Pacers. Or fuck, the Wizards. God. I even knew the team I was talking about that time, and I just said the
Okay,
wrong
I want
team.
to ask you something.
Yeah.
What was his role on the 92s? Wait, what was the team name again that he was on?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was the 90s.
Metropolitan.
Yeah,
92s.
Metropolitan. I asked for it.
Get the ball to Victor and get out of the way.
So he was feeding off Victor. Like he was a role
No,
player.
I mean I already said that. But what they said, I did a little bit of research, minimal as it was. He shifted from just being, get the ball to Victor in the post and get out of the way to being a guy who could play make off of Victor and create for himself, and then also create opportunities for Victor, which, like I'm saying,
Pretty
it's
easy.
It's pretty easy when that kind of guy is there creating that sort of gravity, but he's shown improvement, and he's 18 years old, and he's got a lot of time to develop and improve, but it's a pretty harsh learning curve to go from playing with the best player in your league to playing with the Wizards. I got it that time. See, I'm not totally stupid, but
Cam, I want to ask you. Near the end of the season, or just in the whole season in general, Coulibaly was playing off of Victor. Whether it was catch and shoots, which by the way he was always wide open for. That's how good Victor was. Whether it was cuts to the basket, which he's pretty good at, or whether it was defense, he had the best player in the league next to him, and that's why he thrived. Who is he feeding off of on the Wizards?
Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole.
No. You don't get to make this argument because we had this discussion earlier. You said 28-6 for Jordan Poole, right? Because he's going to be drawing defenders, he's going to be,
saying that.
throwing out to shooters, right?
Just like I believe.
So
Jalen
that means
Green
he's
is the
going to
same
get
thing.
looks. That means he's going to get looks.
I never said it was efficient. I never said like that. That's him just chucking 30 shots. Okay, that's just how it's gonna be. And I just don't think Jordan Poole. He can get 6 assists while not giving his teammates open looks. They'll just be able to hit some BS. You know what I mean? I give this a D plus. I really just think he needs to. The ideal fit was him being next to a star, and they didn't give him that star. And I just wouldn't be surprised if in this scenario the Wizards don't want him in 2 to 3 years. I mean, he's just not going to contribute if no one's giving him good looks, and that's not a knock toward him, but that's just like, I don't know. This might be a bad example, but look at, I mean, Aaron Gordon on his own team where he had to be the top 1-2 option on the Magic. He just didn't look that good. Even if you put up decent stats, he didn't look that good. But then when you put him next to a star, I really see him in that Aaron Gordon role. And the fact that the Wizards got him for what? Like, how is he going to develop? He has no mid range whatsoever. It's literally it's a dunk or it's a three, which is not bad if you have someone to feed off of. I loved him when he was in the 20s, 25s, and people were comparing him to Ryan Rupert, and they're comparing him to Sidney Sissoko because they're all French, I guess. But when he was expected to be a role player, but now when you're in the top 10, you are going for an all-star. You're going for a reach.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing that, then you're going for a safe player. Bilal Coulibaly is not a safe player at all. And he's not also never gonna be an all-star. I'm not to hate, that's just not his game. D plus.
I give the pick a C. I like Bilal as a project player, as a prospect, but I think the spot in which he was picked was way too high for him. I think there's a lot of pressure that comes with being top 7 pick, and I don't know if he's ready for it, but time will tell. Time will tell.
Everyone better give him the same pressure Killian Hayes got, because Killian Hayes,
Hey man, same pressure's on him.
it better be.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that I've actually got my teams in order, pulled up a different draft thing because I'm just an idiot. We got Drace Walker going number 8 to the
Jarris.
Indiana. Jarris?
Yeah.
Cheers, cheers.
Make sure you get it right, man.
No, I got to get it right. I just don't know why they spell their names differently than how they're pronounced. But, man, just make it easy for me, please. We got Jarris Walker going number 8 to the Indiana Pacers. Interesting pick. Not a player with a lot of offensive versatility, but defensively, probably one of, if not the best defensive player in this draft. Going to the Pacers, interesting because he's not really a rim protector, so I feel like you could play him at the 3 or the 4. Depending on what they do with Miles Turner, it'll be interesting to see what kind of role they use him in. But yeah, I'm giving this pick a B too. I think it's another one where you're putting him next to a playmaker like Halliburton, so I think he's going to get a lot of easy looks at times. But I don't know. I just think when you have a player come into the league with minimal offensive upside in such an offensive league where you need everybody on the floor to be able to shoot pretty much unless you're an elite rim protector, it's again, the pressures of being selected number 8. You're expecting him to be an all-star, and I personally don't see him getting to that point, but I do see him being all defensive at some point in his career, and I think that's enough to warrant the selection.
Yeah, I don't think you need to be an all-star as long as you're a safe pick. I think he's a pretty safe pick. I think he's an amazing passer for a 4. And quite honestly, I mean, they have Tyrese Halliburton, the Pacers have Tyrese Halliburton, and they have Nembhard, who's probably going to come off the bench next year. But besides that, no playmaking, or I guess also TJ McConnell, who might get moved in the offseason. No playmaking in that starting 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. He's going to be great. Defensively, he's more of a defensive leader versus, like, some people wanted Taylor Hendricks there, but, like, it'd just be too much rim protection with him and Miles and not enough versatility. So I like versatility. He can guard guards, he can guard bigs, he can do whatever. Shooting, it's not that bad. Like, I believe he can be an average 3-point shooter, which is enough with how good he is, playmaking wise, defensive wise, and because he's been able to hit mid ranges. Not, you don't want him shooting contested mid ranges. He's been able to hit open threes, and he's also a winner. Indiana loves winners. Indiana probably could have made the playoffs if Tyrese Halliburton didn't get hurt for a stretch, and I just think it's a great fit. What? A. I don't know if I said it. I'm giving it an A.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. Indiana and winners,
yeah, no, Indiana.
Yeah,
Indiana.
They draft winners. I'm not
They
saying
love their winners.
Forte.
They love their
Like,
winners.
did he win in college? I thought he was good. He was good in college. I don't know if he won. But
I give the pick a B simply because I feel there was a better option on the board at the 4. But I like Jarris Walker.
The
I
guy
think
we
he's,
got up next.
we'll see.
Okay.
There's just I think he's a
What was
really
that?
I don't know
It's
what
a fly.
Yeah. I think he's a really good fit next to Halliburton. He'll ease into there easily, bro. That's gonna be a seamless fit. Him next to Miles Turner will be very scary for the future. And
No, if they keep Miles Turner.
it's a bright. They will. It's a bright future for Indiana.
I don't know, man. I mean, we always say that, but then halfway through the offseason, so it's like, I'm going to trade Miles
At
Turner.
some point, you just got to realize they want him.
Yeah.
The Miles Turner saga continues.
They're gonna keep him. There's no
I
reason.
mean, they
to get
are,
rid of him.
but I feel like they always talk about trading him just for
I think
shits.
Lakers fans just talk about trading him without any rumors. That's what I
He's
think.
just
What is it?
he-
What is it,
him and
But he's
Buddy Hield,
he's
bro.
ideally the perfect center
I
because
mean,
he's
THD Russ
indie.
and 2 picks isn't.
I know,
You
bro.
can't use it anymore.
Can't
Like,
use it anymore.
what is it now? It's
Malik and Mo.
What?
It's the offer now.
yeah.
Okay.
Like that's not getting a no deal. Like, people, it's. I'm not gonna lie. Lakers fans are delusional, bro. Get over it.
Really?
We can talk about him. in a second.
You're not getting Miles Turner. You might get Buddy, but you're not getting Miles Turner. You just won't.
Buddy, you're not getting Miles Turner. All right, number 9. We got Taylor Hendricks going to the Utah Jazz. Corby, kind of want to hear what you have to say, and then I actually want to hear what you have to say because I know
Yeah.
you're very high on this guy coming into the draft.
Yeah.
He's a good prospect. I gave it a B plus. I think his rim protection is very elite. He's a really good 3-point shooter. Outside of that, I mean, he can be a lob threat. There's not too much to his game, not too much versatility on either side of the ball. But I mean, him next to Kessler, that's like one of the best rim protecting duos in the league. It's just Lowry, I think it's Lowry. Lowry, Hendricks, and Kessler as 3. Just it's not very versatile. I really don't think it's something you build, but I think he's a good prospect and he can hit threes. I mean, that's just what you want from it. At the end of the day, because he shot I think 41% from 3 in college, or maybe it was 39. If you are a 40% shooter as a big, unless you're David Bertans, teams want you. It's as simple as that.
I give the pick an A plus. I'm really high on Hendricks. I had him like 5th on my big board. I just feel like in today's NBA, he's gonna be a guy that can command 30 million easily. No, it's like when he's a free agent. Like
And who's a example like Jeremy Grant? Is that an example of?
I think he's like I can't explain like Karolinko. Like I see Karolinko all over him. And if Karolinko was in today's NBA, I think he'd command 30 million.
That's not even crazy. to
I
say.
just I think he has all the tools necessary to be the league's best defender one day, as well as being like a 40% shooter from 3. What else could you ask for? And that's the reason why I give it an A plus. Just that simple.
Yeah, I don't have much else to say. I gave the pick a B plus just because I'm not quite as high on him as you are, but I still think he's a great pick. And probably has future All-Star written all over him.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully.
yeah, that's about it for that. And number 10, we got Cason Wallace going to the Oklahoma City Thunder after a trade with Dallas. Interesting pick that I'm personally not a fan of. I gave this one a C, just because I think it's nothing to do with the caliber of his player. It has everything to do with fit on that team, because you need more scorers on that team, or you need a big. They had 2 needs, and they didn't. They could have taken Derek Lively, and I think that would have been a much better fit on that team because they had Jalen Williams playing the 5.
I would
Last
think
year.
Lively would be a good fit, but like
I know you got Chet coming back,
You
but
got
don't
Chet.
you want like a center off the bench?
Yeah, I mean the fans that I talked to told me that like they kind of just don't want to pick. I mean, this is pick 10 at the time it was pick 12. They don't want to pick someone with the upside of getting 10, 15 minutes a game. And I love Lively, but like I can kind of agree. I'll give it a B plus. I just think they really don't have any defenders on the perimeter, and Cason Wallace can give you that. Maybe eventually, Dort's getting $20 million. It's not a terrible contract, but maybe eventually you can run an SGA Cason Wallace Giddy lineup. Maybe if it's not starting and Cason Wallace is off the bench, maybe it's a closing lineup. And I think Cason Wallace has more shooting upside. I think he's an effort guy, kind of just like Dort, but the playmaking could be amazing. I mean, if you have a big 3 of, not a big 3, but Cason Wallace, Josh Giddey, SGA playmaking wise, you just every single one of those can make the extra pass. I gave it a B plus just because I'm really high on Cason Wallace, but yeah, the fit it's not
I
ideal.
don't know. I mean, and the thing is, you can only make so many extra passes when there's no shooters on the floor. Like you can pass, but if your end option is Jalen Williams or Chet Holmgren,
That's fair.
where's the ball really going?
That's a fair point, but just I just think with the prospects that good, and it's not like he's like 1 or 2 on my board. He's like I think he's 8 or 9.
No, I mean
But-
he was probably picked lower than the caliber of his player, but it was just the wrong team that picked him, in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, the teams around him, like the Raptors, the Mavericks, I feel like those would be better fits. But maybe they're just trying to get Cason Wallace and then flip him next year for a star. You never know. But
Yeah.
not that's ideal. But
Yeah. I give the pick an A minus just because I'm really high on Cason Wallace. Gritty, tough, good defender. I know it may sound weird to say, but he kind of plays like Jimmy Butler, like in a sense of his defense is the same way like I'd see Jimmy Butler play defense, and the buckets he gets are like, huh, you wouldn't think like he'd be able to go into the post and get a bucket, but he can't. Um, I'm really high on him. Those Drew Holiday-esque point guards that are coming into the league now, I'm really high on him. You know, the last one maybe struggling now, but maybe he needs to be in a better situation with Davion Mitchell. But I'm high on Case and all, so I'll give it an A minus.
All right.
We got the best pick of the draft.
The best pick.
The best pick.
All right. It's a pick for sure.
It's a pick.
Number 11, the Orlando Magic selected Jet Howard.
I'll start.
No, let me start, because y'all are gonna shut on us. Okay, I'm probably the highest out of Jet Howard here. With that being said, I give the pick a C plus. It's if you want to address shooting, there is a better shooter on the board. I don't necessarily get the pick if I'm Orlando. I do like what Jet Howard brings. I do like his ability as a potential 3-level scorer in the league. But the Magic have enough of that already.
Yeah.
They have Franz, they have Paulo. How many 3-level like ISO buckets is he gonna get? You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I give the pick a C plus because I like Jet Howard, but I don't necessarily like the fit that much, and I think it is very high for him at the pick 11.
Okay. I gave it an F. F.
Damn.
Because I'm being so serious. You look at Jet Howard and you look at Grady Dick, and there is there's a single one thing of basketball that, in my opinion, that that Jet Howard does better than Grady Dick, and that is handle the ball. He has better handles. Jet Howard's handle is pretty decent, if you ask me. But then, if you want a shooter, there is a better shooter. There is another better shooter in Jordan Hawkins, who is a bit smaller, but he's shown more on defense. He's shown some playmaking upside. I don't understand it. It's not about how bad the prospect is. It is that the exact same archetype that is the better prospect, and there's another better prospect. Jet Howard, you could have traded down for him. At least that's what I think. I mean, if you think he's the right prospect, I get it, but just, man.
I don't think.
I don't want to take this too seriously, but like Michigan fans, fans of the college he went to, hated him. When I just don't know. When fans hate you that much, it might be a sign. But what do I know?
Enjoy Trae Young.
Let's
move on, Cam. What's your
I hate Trae Young being my number one.
D plus. I don't know.
Pick.
It's a bad pick, and looking at the Magic, I don't know what kind of team they think they're building down there. I don't know what year they think it is. I'm not sure if we're going back to the 05 NBA where teams were scoring 60 points a game, but the problem is I like the way their team looks on paper until you actually look at the way other teams are constructed in the NBA, and you're like, this team is trying to do something that doesn't exist in the NBA anymore. They have absolutely no shooting. Like it's insane for a team to build themselves with no shooting whatsoever. Plenty of talent, lots of length, great defensive potential, great playmaking potential, everything else you could ask for. And somehow they think we're playing in an era where the three-pointer doesn't matter. Number 12, one of my personal favorite picks of the draft, so I'm going to go first on the grid on this. Derek Lively to the Dallas Mavericks. I think this is a wonderful fit for them. I think it fills a need that they, needed to fill desperately. And I think it gives, one, Luka Doncic the lob threat that they were kind of looking for in Christian Wood and maybe a little bit in Porzingis too. He can shoot. He's not going to dominate possessions the way that Porzingis did as a big man. I think if, he pans out, Dallas has found their big man of the, near future. But even just now coming into the league as an athletic, lanky big who can block shots and provide Dallas with the rim protection that they need, I think it thrusts them back into that conversation of a team that could compete for a top spot in the West and maybe even a title again. Because, they made a Western Conference Finals run this past year. Who knows what really happened, but
yeah,
I'm giving it an A. I don't know.
An A?
But yeah.
I'm giving it an A plus. I think this pick is magnificent because Derek Lively, I believe, is one of the players with one of the highest floors in the entire draft. Like if he sucks, like let's say not even sucks. If he goes to like the worst he can be, he's still like a starting big.
Yeah,
which is
still like a JaVale McGee.
Yeah, which is very serviceable. Next to Luka Doncic, you get a guy who is 19 years old, he's shown signs of shooting the ball, who's athletic as hell. He's 7'2". He can move with the best in the league at that height. I love the pick. A+.
A+ as well.
Yeah.
I think I have him 7 on my big board, which is, it seems pretty high, but I think you see a lot of shooting flashes with Derek Lively, and even in high school, he was really good on offense in high school. I think just Duke had enough weapons where they didn't need to use him, and I think he was misused in my opinion. If he gets a league average 3-pointer, this is a top 5 center.
Oh yeah.
I mean, defensively, I love Chet Holmgren, and Victor is a very great prospect. I think defensively, Lively might be better than both of them. I mean, the rim protecting, I've been in awe just watching
like
it.
7 blocks or something.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the way he moves laterally versus Victor, he just moves like a smaller player.
It's his weight. He's skinny.
Yeah,
Moves well
I
on
mean,
the
Victor's
court.
skinny too. It just he moves a little bit
He moves
more
good.
more with his frame, but.
Yeah.
I also think his passing is kind of underrated. I think he's just, he could be like a 3 or 4 assist guy. You know, he's not like a Clint Capella. He's not.
4 as a, no, I don't believe all that. Maybe like 2. But, hey,
Damn, I really thought I was high on him, but both y'all throwing out
I
those A+.
love
I'm not going a huge way. I think this is the best stretch of the draft. These next 4 picks are
next
just
4.
elite picks.
Well, of course, because next up we got Dick at 13. Grady Dick going to the Toronto Raptors. What's your opinion on him, Corby?
I give an A-, which, you know,
damn.
it's a really high grade, but also I'm kind of. He's a really good player, really good prospect. The Toronto Raptors need shooting. He is a shooter. I think he's an underrated defender. He can make an extra pass. He's not like that good of a passer. As an athlete, I'm pretty sure he got number 1 in the shuttle run in the entire combine. Just
Or
pretty good. He's
maybe.
taller than you think, 6'8". It was one of the drills. I forget. It might have been the shuttle
Combine
run.
shit doesn't matter.
It really.
I mean, it can tell a little bit.
Really,
Hey,
the only
man,
one that really matters. is
Patrick Baldwin Jr. It got like the lowest vertical ever in the draft, and he's going to be an All NBA player someday.
Oh, really?
Really on the Wizards.
Well, now that they trade him, he is like
He's just gonna be like a stretch 4 in 2K19.
it's called
Literally.
karma.
But I just don't really like the over. Like I like the fit, but also position wise, you brought back Trent, Anunoby. You're gonna keep Siakam, Podol, missing Scotty Barnes. I really think they needed a point guard, which is why it's not an A+. I'm not also like this is like I think I had Grady Dick around like 13 on my big board, so it's like an average pick. But it's just the fact that they need shooting so bad. Maybe I could bump it down to a B+, but I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, I gave it a B+. A lot of the same reasons you cited. I think he's a very solid player at that position. I think he's also a very hard player to just fall off the map when you have that kind of shooting in the modern NBA. Like, okay, maybe he can't defend at an elite level, or maybe he can't handle the ball at an elite level, but at the very worst, you've got an elite catch and shoot guy, which every team needs.
Yeah. The Raptors, I think, went after their biggest need with this pick, shooting. I give it a B+. Just really good pick for 13 because I expected him to go off the board a couple picks earlier. I think it's a good pick for them, just as their biggest need. It should be interesting what happens with Gary Trent now, because he wants to stay there, but does he want to take a? I don't know. We'll see what
He already opted in. So.
I mean, yeah. It'll
Yeah,
be
what kind
interesting.
of
to
choices
see.
does he have?
I
We
mean,
could
yeah.
trade him if he doesn't.
We'll see. We'll see what happens down there in Toronto. They have an interesting offseason ahead.
They do.
You can't be a guy who starts for Gary Trent. Gary Trent, I see him more as a 6-man in the long term. I guess right now.
I don't think Dick
he's the
starts
best.
off the bat though.
Not off the bat, but I think by the end of the year, I think Grady Dick
I
will
could
start
see
over
it, yeah.
Trent. Then again, he's 6'8". He is really more of a 3. So actually, maybe he doesn't, but he'll be a really good 6-man.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, number 14, last of the lottery. We got Jordan Hawkins going to the New Orleans Pelicans. This is an interesting pick, in my opinion, but coming from the Pelicans / Hawks fan over here, I do kind of want to hear your opinion on this pick.
I gave it an A. I gave it an A. Just really good fit because the Pelicans don't need shooting, and the only reason I'm a little bit concerned is because the Pelicans don't run that much off ball for shooters, but then again, they don't have shooters. I mean, the only one that they run it for is their only shooter in Trey Murphy. Everyone else, I mean, Brandon Ingram is a good pull-up guy, but I mean, he is kind of like 37% from 3 right now. Yeah, they have like Zion, Jose Alvarado, Herb Jones. It's gonna be interesting what Willie Green does with Jordan Hawkins, but I just think I think he's the best shooter in the draft. Grady Dick could be a close second, but just his form is amazing. He went to the same college as Ray Allen. He gets the Ray Allen comparisons, and I just think as a 6-man, he might be the 6-man unless Trey Murphy stays off the bench. And I think he's a guy who's gonna contribute immediately, in my opinion. I don't see his ceiling being that high, but his floor is high as well. He's just gonna be a shooter, and hopefully he hits the shots. I mean, because that's what the NBA is nowadays. If you don't hit, you're out, and if you hit your shots as a shooter, you're in.
Yeah. Personally, I gave this pick a B- just because I don't think I'm nearly as high on how he fits in a team as you are. I think it's a crowded position with Trey Murphy and Herb Jones already. And I think
Murphy's a 4, right? So
it's 4.
He's a 3/4.
well, see, I think he's a 3, but like he kind of played the 4 because Zion got hurt and he thrived in
So
the
if you're
4.
if you're planning on Zion not getting hurt, which you would hope that you're planning on, that means you probably are playing Trey Murphy at the 3, and Herb Jones would likely start over Jordan Hawkins to start the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, but who's the 4 for
Zion.
Zion.
No, I mean off the bench because Murphy's not gonna start because they have CJ,
I
Herb,
don't know.
Di.
It's not my job to
Zion.
find it. They gotta find
I-
somebody else.
I think he
Not
gets
my
minutes
job.
immediately. I think he
Not my
does.
job.
But personally, I see a lot of the upside, and I think he's a really solid player. I just don't. I mean, I don't know. Best shooter in the draft is something that I don't know that I can attribute to him. I mean, frankly, I just don't know his game that well, and from what I read about him, he just seems like a fairly average prospect.
I think he can hold the title of best shooter in the draft. For that reason, getting well, I mean it's an argument, but I think he is. But a top 3 shooter in the draft at 14 is good value in my opinion. I do love his game. I think him coming off ball screens will be very good. So he can run, he can handle the ball, he can shoot, he can score in 3 levels pretty much. I like the pick, but his age, the Pelicans win now, I guess. They want to win now. So he can plug in right away and get to work, B+.
Yeah, they have too many picks to just
Yeah,
rebuild because they have
yeah.
the Bucks
They
pick
gotta
in the
win
future.
now.
Lakers.
I like the pick, B+.
I also think it's kind of interesting how he's, in my opinion, the best shooter in the draft. And he's not a bad defender, and he's falling this low. I'm not saying it's like wrong
Maybe-
he's falling this low. I'm not saying he should go higher, but that's just an interesting
Age
thing
thing.
where normally the best shooter is a bad defender, and that's why he falls. But
Yeah,
I think he'll be league average. Good.
yeah.
All right, and now we go from Corby's second favorite team to his favorite team, Atlanta Hawks. Number 15 selected Kobe Burfkin.
Buffkin.
Buffkin.
Yeah.
So the R is silent.
I don't
There's
think
no
there's
R.
an R.
Oh,
they
so they
just
just
spoke
wrote
it
his
wrong.
name wrong.
I think sometimes they just don't include the R to make it less like. I feel like I've seen that before though.
Corey Burfkin.
Burfkin.
But I know it's pronounced Buffkin.
That's
That's all.
like-
I don't know how the spelling is. This is the guy who I've had as my Twitter profile picture. I've had him in a Hawks jersey for the last month and a half. A+. We are congested at the. I understand Cam Whitmore was right there, but we just have too many forwards off the bench with Jalen Johnson, Sadiq, Bogdan, and AJ Griffin. We have good bigs, like Okongwu, Capella. We needed a backup guard. Whether he gets minutes immediately or not, I don't know. But we've seen players thrive after being in the G League for a year. Maybe he's a G League guy, but overall, he's a good defender. He's been a good 3-point shooter. I'm not sure how consistent that'll be, but he was one of the best guard finishers at the rim. I think he shot like 70% at the rim as a guard. Just amazing. I think he's a lot of potential in like the floater area. I just think overall, the Hawks have no one who's completely safe besides Trae Young, and I feel like this is the guy who can replace DeJounte Murray while being more complementary to Trae Young than DeJounte Murray. A+.
You made to get rid of DeJounte Murray already?
Dude, he's no. So apparently,
He's in rumors.
DeJounte, Hunter, Collins, and Capella all on the trade block.
None of them got moved, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
John Collins will survive.
I mean-
Another
John Collins will survive a nuclear holocaust and still be on contract for the Atlanta Hawks. Like
Pretty much.
that man's
And
not going anywhere. That man is a cockroach. when
I'm
it
only
comes to
mad.
the
Like I
organization.
want to just accept it, and then I keep seeing rumors. Like just give it up. We're not trading it.
Stay
Ever.
off Twitter, man.
Honestly, I wish he would get traded because I believe in Jalen Johnson. But
I do too.
I do too.
I
But
think
Dude looked like
he could
a-
have. I'm not trolling. He could have an MIP year next year if he gets the minutes.
I believe in
John Collins.
all our young guys. Honestly, dude. I love being a fan of a
Rebuild.
rebuilding team, honestly. But we don't have our picks. There's no point in
Yeah,
rebuilding.
yeah.
It's just kind of giving the young guys time. Like that's enough of a rebuild for us, in my opinion. But,
Yeah, a lot of the same reasons you cited. Really solid player. I just gave it a B personally because I mean his growth and development is predicated on DeJounte getting traded, and we don't know if that's gonna happen
Yeah.
yet. So
I'm very high on Kobe Buffkin, so I'm gonna give this pick an A-, not quite an A+, an A-, just because Cam Whitmore was there. I feel like a player like Cam Whitmore should have been taken. Pretty much I can say that for the next like 8 picks, or not 8, but like the next 5 picks. I can say that pretty much.
get there.
But that's why I give it an A-. But I'm very high on Buffkin, and I like the pick for the Hawks.
All right, number 16, moving on to the Utah Jazz, taking Keontae George. Pretty much just another Colin Sexton when you.
I mean,
look at
I
it.
can start. I'll give Keontae George. I think I am higher on Keontae George than the consensus of people. I'm gonna give this pick a B, and I'm gonna give this pick a B because I believe Keontae George has potential to one day average like 25 points or higher. I think he has potential to be the best, like pure bucket getter from this class. And with potential like that, you can always get it. You just gotta hit on one of them. You just gotta hope he pans out. And the Jazz did swing for the fences with those type of players on this
They
draft.
did. I mean, they got a safe guy in Hendrickson then, kind
Yeah,
of.
and they
went
kind of
for
swung for the
Keontae.
fences.
Makes sense. You got a bunch of picks. You might as well use them on a couple guys that might pan out.
We
Really
just need
well.
one of them to hit.
But yeah, I gave this a C plus just because I'm not as high on him as you are in terms of being a 25 point per game guy. 'Cause I mean that's still hard even in the
is
modern
hard.
NBA with the pace and
I
everything.
think that's
else.
his feeling, though.
That's
He could
hard.
get there.
And I mean they already have Colin Sexton. I know Jordan Clarkson is a free agent, but I mean you already have Sexton, so Keontae George isn't going to start. So where does he get his touches?
Yeah.
I
Really
guess
interesting.
off the bench. I don't know. I think they have a lot of scores. I was gonna give it a low grade, but I've seen how the Jazz have utilized, and you could say it's Quinn Snyder. I don't know, but you could say how the Jazz have utilized Jordan Clarkson as a scorer completely, and I feel like they can do that with Keontae George. But I'm not high on him. They already have Agbaji, Sexton, potentially Clarkson's back. They have Lowry as a scorer. They have a lot of scores already, and so I'm giving it a C plus, which I think is actually pretty high. Like I'm kind of I might be being nice because I don't think Cam Whitmore was here, and it's not like Cam Whitmore is a bad fit at the 2. I think he can play the 2, even though he's more of a 3. We kind of see that with.
You can say that with
I
every
mean
pick.
that
Cam Whitmore.
you're going to hear a
Yeah.
lot of that over the next few picks.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, number 17.
The
You're,
Lakers.
you're going to start on this one.
Initially, I didn't like the pick of Jalen Hood-Schifino. I was very devastated at the fact that Cam Whitmore was not taken. However, looking over it, Lakers haven't really had a point guard in which they can build build a foundation with. It's always like hippity hoppity. We're just jumping point guards. But I think Hood-Schifino, he can stay here for the next 3-4 years and hopefully build something out. I do see a lot of Lonzo in him. He can just be like
Hopefully
Alonzo.
not too much Lonzo.
Okay, I just chill.
Just Lonzo in the head and the hands and not the knees.
Yeah, I see a lot of Lonzo Ball in his game. Big guard, can pass well, can defend. Shooting, Lonzo couldn't shoot when he started. I mean, I guess I see a lot of Lonzo in him, so I'm not horribly mad at the pick. So I give the pick like a B. It's about an average pick.
Yeah, I'd give it a B too. I actually really liked watching him at Indiana. I thought he showed a lot of flashes of being a good shot creator and playmaker. I think he'll benefit a lot from playing with LeBron as much as people knock LeBron or like to make it a narrative that he's not a good leader or he's not a good mentor. I think there's been a lot of players who have benefited from playing with
I
him.
think
at
playing with
different times
LeBron
in
and
his career.
AD will make him look.
It'll make him look a lot
I don't think it'll make
better.
him look a lot better. Yeah.
And then yeah, like you're saying, I think he's gonna be around for the foreseeable future, hopefully, and that gives him an opportunity to kind of grow into that point guard role. So I'd give
point
him a
guard of
B
the
too.
future. Yeah.
Quick side note. I actually want to ask you guys, what is an average grade for you? Like where it's like it's not a good pick, not a bad pick.
I think a B means good pick. C
No, I say
means-
B. I say B minus.
B minus is like a good pick.
Or B minus is like a
Average.
like an average pick.
I agree with that.
I'd say a C plus is like an average.
I'd say for
pick.
me, like about a B minus is average. B is like it's a decent pick.
Okay, so yeah, I gave Jalen Hood-Schifino to the Lakers a C. I think he's going to be pretty complimentary to Anthony Davis. But outside of that, Hood-Schifino was a guy who, like, when I first started scouting everyone, he was a guy I really liked. And then you look at everyone else and how versatile they are, and just you look at Hood-Schifino. He's not like he's a decent defender. He's not that good. He's a decent shooter. He's not that good. Around the rim, he's pretty creative. And I guess the Lakers do need a backup point guard. Maybe we don't know what's happening with Schroeder or D'Lo or Reeves could play point guard. I guess it's not primary, but yeah, I give it a C. It's a cool pick, but there were better options in my opinion. I think I had him in the 20s, and
Yeah.
18 isn't bad, or 17.
Which, speaking of 18, ooh,
Oh buddy.
oh buddy, Miami.
Oh buddy.
You know what? If there's one team that could to make this guy into what they need him to be, it is Miami.
Miami.
But Jaime Jaquez going number 18.
Yeah. You know what? Since they're winning now, I'm not giving it enough. Since they're winning now, maybe he'll be good. I'll give this pick a D.
That was like my same mindset. I'm not gonna lie.
He's a guy I have projected around like the range of 28 to 35. Like, and you pick him at 18, it's like it is. I mean, there's Cam Whitmore on the board.
he's
man.
right there. He's like,
Cam Whitmore's on the board. What more could you ask for? Cam Whitmore learning from Jimmy Butler.
what did he do to deserve to drop
His
to
medicals
20?
had to be horrible, man. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I give this pick a D. It's just I don't get it. At
Oh yeah, no, D feels really appropriate. I mean, I watched a lot of him at UCLA too because they
yeah.
were constantly in the tournament,
Mhm.
and he was their best player for most of the time that they were in the tournament the last 2 years. And he strikes me as a player who dominates the college game but can't transition to the pro game
I see
in
that.
the same way. He could probably be a guy that you can put in and have a solid 6'7" to whatever 30 or whatever he is 225 body off the bench, and that's fine. You need a lot of those in the NBA. He's just not.
Not an 18.
He's just not a. Yeah, he's not even really a first round talent in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't buy it, but who knows? With Miami's development, maybe we're all wrong.
Yeah, same thing. D minus. The only reason I didn't give it an F is because he's a senior, junior,
He's a senior.
senior,
22 years
and
old.
the Heat need to win now. I kind of see the way he plays is like, obviously without the defense, he's not that good of a defender, but just like Jimmy Butler in the like just the play style. But like, you don't want that because Jimmy Butler is a guy who thrives with the ball in his hand. You don't want this rookie getting the ball in his hands, and I'd rather trust Hero. I'd rather trust
I don't
so
get
many
I
other
don't
ball
get the
handlers.
pick because they didn't draft best player available and they also didn't draft for fit.
Yeah, I also think there's better older players like Colby Jones who would have fit a
Yeah.
lot better.
I think they could have traded this pick down and still
They
got
almost
their guy.
it almost feels like they drafted for a culture reason above anything else.
Yeah.
Which
Miami,
I get it.
man,
He
they
comes
got
from
they got
UCLA.
they got
he
a
doesn't make
some. I mean,
but
maybe they know something about Portland, and maybe that he's going to Portland. So
Maybe.
maybe.
we don't even know. But
Okay, and finally, the last of the Cam Whitmore skippers, my Golden State Warriors. We took Brandon Podziemski. I hope I didn't butcher that. Podziemski.
pods.
Pods. I honestly don't know how to say
Yeah, I
that.
just say pods.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. But I'm grading this pick as a C, and it's not because I think he's a bad player. I don't think he should have been drafted this high, looking at the guys around him, especially Cam Whitmore. And the other problem is the Warriors didn't draft for fit, and like we've stated about multiple other teams, they didn't draft for fit and they didn't draft the best player overall because they should have gone and drafted size, which fortunately they got a little bit of later in the draft. But they didn't draft size and they didn't draft Cam Whitmore. So what you're left with is essentially Jordan Poole from Wish, who you just traded along with Ryan Rollins and Patrick Baldwin Jr. and a first round pick and a second round pick to the Wizards for Chris Paul in a second. And it just feels like one step forward, two steps backwards in this
Dunleavy.
first Mike Dunleavy era. And if it works out, I'll have to eat my words, and I'll be more than happy to.
I think you'd want to eat your words.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I just don't have a feeling that I'm going to.
Yeah.
I'll give this a B minus. I think right now it's not a good fit, but I think when you think long term and assuming Steve Kerr is going to be the coach for the next 5 to 6 years, I think he could fit well in the Warriors system. He's a good shooter. He's nowhere near defensive liability, even though he's a little bit shorter for being a shooting guard. I think he's like 6'4". Very high arcing shot. He's a good rebounder actually as a guard, kind of like Gary Payton
I
level.
mean, he averaged 8.8 rebounds per game.
And even in the combine
Sam-
against
Sam
grown
Clair,
men, they're not grown men, but
you know.
against like really good prospects, he was rebounding in the combine.
Which is great. That's what we need. But that means off the bench, like we were talking about when they drafted him, they're going to have Chris Paul, Gary Payton, Moses
A
Moody,
lot of guards.
and
Steph Curry.
Podziemski.
But what's wrong with sticking him in the G League for a year? You know.
There's
Nothing
nothing
wrong
wrong
with-
with
you need a
there's
win.
nothing wrong with that.
it, but Cam Whitmore's there.
Exactly.
But I think that's what-
And if you're gonna make such a win now
You gotta think
move
like that.
when you trade Jordan Poole, the guy you just gave a 4-year contract to, for Chris Paul on essentially a 1-year rental or whatever it's gonna end up being, if you're gonna make a win now move like that, you gotta draft to win now.
Yeah.
You can't do that and then middle and be like, I don't really. I want to build for the future, but I don't want to build for the future. I want to win now, but I don't really want to win now. You gotta make a decision and you gotta commit to it.
Yeah, they also don't have their pick next year too, and that's
Yeah,
really-
so
yeah.
it's a very odd pick,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I give the pick a C as well. I just think it's too high for Pods. I like him as a prospect, but not at 19.
I do too, but that's the thing. I see him more as a project than
Yeah.
as a player that can genuinely contribute right now. And
he-
unfortunately,
I
he's probably
think
going to
he-
end up right in the bench in the same way
I
that
think he could end up as a Luke Kennard, which actually isn't bad.
It's-
Like, at the
it's not
19th
bad.
pick,
I think he's way more versatile than
I think as a
I think
ball
he could
handler
end up
too,
as
and a playmaker.
ball handler, pass, defending, effort. Even I don't know.
We'll see.
I mean, who knows what he turns into? Everyone was saying the Warriors reached on Jordan Poole, and obviously he
Yeah.
became
Who
what he
knows?
became.
Who
So
knows?
You never know. Maybe Dunleavy didn't see anything in this class that would help win now, which is not great. Maybe you don't believe in Chris Murray. You don't believe in like Trace Jackson Davis. Well, eventually they did. Well, not
Okay,
in the first round.
well, even if you don't want to win now, why wouldn't you just take the best player available then?
That's true. But it's still okay. And let's talk about Cam Whitmore right now.
Yeah,
let's fell at number 20.
This is an
But
A+.
we don't know
I mean,
why
this
he
is-
fell because talent wise, there's no reason for him to fall.
Top
This like,
five.
I really think it's something medical or it's something mentality wise. Maybe he really botched. I know he's shy, but maybe he just really botched the interviews. Like on some cocky,
2K.
I'm gonna get drafted
Like,
top
maybe
five. Yeah.
it's like the 2K thing where you just pick
Yeah,
all the
press,
bad
press
angles.
Picked
down
all the
instead of
bad-
pressing up.
Yeah, he pushed all the bad options.
I don't understand how he could have fallen this far unless, I mean, we've seen players do this before where they intentionally botch their interviews a little bit because they want to go to a certain team, but going down almost 15 spots from where you're projected to go, I don't think that's.
I think
I don't think you can intentionally do that.
I think
Yeah.
that there's something that we don't know that the NBA teams
Yeah.
do.
All right.
Regardless, I'm still
No,
giving an A+.
Well, even still, Embiid got drafted what, third overall, and he was injured at the time,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you still draft talent where it's supposed to go.
I don't know. Personally, I give the pick an A+ because it's the top 5 talent.
No,
at
it's
the
an
20th
A+ pick easily, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
A+.
I think this is I think this is the steal of the first
I think
round.
it is
Star
the
potential.
I think it is the
Like,
best
yeah.
pick of the whole first round.
All
I mean,
NBA potential.
Houston had a great draft.
Houston, yeah, they had an amazing draft. Yeah, A+.
But yeah,
Two A+, they were winners for me. I guess.
Yeah,
You can't get better than that. Two A+.
You really can't.
Can't.
All right, next we got Noah Clowney going to the Brooklyn Nets.
I'll give it a C. It's decent. You're going for a backup
Project.
big. I get it.
It's a project.
It's just
But I really
like-
think let's kind of like
Let's
combine these two picks because like you kind of I don't know how to say it. You want one of them to be a guard. The only reason I don't like this Clowney pick is because they didn't get a guard with him. If they got a backup big and a backup guard, and you develop them over the years. Nets have a lot of picks. They have the Suns picks. They have Sixers picks. I think. They have so much to develop with, and the fact that they're getting. And don't get me wrong, Dariq Whitehead is a good player who boomer bust really. Like he has a lot of injury problems and can be good, but just they don't have any point guard. Spencer Dinwiddie's their point guard. I can't stand that.
Free agency, I guess they're gonna try and look for something.
It's
I cannot stand
point guard. I think it's the
Dinwiddie
first
plays
priority in my opinion because that's how you get people open. That's how they run the offense. They can even in certain times run the defense, even though you shouldn't rely on that. But I just
Game time.
and did they even end up getting a point guard in the second round? I don't know. I don't care.
Who knows, bro?
You know he's going to Miami if he's going anywhere.
So I
But-
gave Clowney a
They got so many
C,
picks.
Dariq Whitehead a B, overall D.
Wow.
Wow.
I give Clowney.
What kind of math are you doing?
What kind of math is
C
that?
plus B equals D?
Because they ain't get a point guard. It's not. It's not an equation.
Yes.
It's just simply my opinion.
I give Leonard Miller a C+. I like his ceiling a lot. And Dariq Whitehead's another player, like you said, it's gonna be really good, or he might be like Josh Jackson. We have no idea.
Yeah,
Did you
I
say
said that,
Leonard
but
Miller?
honestly,
No, I said Dariq Whitehead.
his ceiling might just be a shooter. Like he shot really good at Duke. I don't know, and I don't think that was something he was supposed to do going into college. But maybe I just didn't know much about
Drew
him.
Timmy has signed with the Bucks in the Exhibit 10 deal.
Wow.
Well,
Guess
guess.
he's playing summer league.
I mean, he's a vet. Give him a shot. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's-
I graded pretty much the same. I think C and a C plus or a B minus
Yeah.
on Whitehead. I just think for me, for the Nets, it kind of screams like, let's give Bridges a year and let's see what he can do for a full year.
Fine. I give Clowney a C+ and Whitehead a B-.
so
All right.
same grades, huh?
So now we got another twin being drafted, but His brother somehow went a year before him because he probably just sucks or something. We got Chris Murray going to the Portland Trailblazers.
I mean,
It's a fine pick.
I don't like the pick.
it's an all right pick, but at the same time, I feel like Dame's gonna get traded, and if he does get traded, then this is, in my opinion, a bad pick. You just like when you're rebuilding, you go for upside, even this late in the draft. Just going for the safe player, I guess. So I'm not gonna get it too low. I think it's probably like a C- pick because he's not a bad player at all.
Yeah.
And Dame can stay if he wants, and maybe they'll try and win and make a playoff push. But there's better players. I'll give it a C-.
I'm gonna give the pick a C plus. I would give it a C minus. The only reason I'm giving it a C plus is because they might not have a power forward if Jeremy Grant leaves, so maybe they just picked it for like a security type of
Portland might not have a Dame by the time the season starts.
pick. Who knows,
so
bro?
Who even knows? What is going on in Portland? Nobody knows. I don't even think they really know.
I mean, they got Scoot Henderson.
Yeah. I'd also hate this just from Chris Murray's perspective. Like this would be a terrible.
I mean, yeah,
if you're going to a rebuild and
one
you're just
pick
winning
before
guys.
Sacramento.
Well, I mean,
Oh yeah, Sacramento would have been.
Sacramento didn't
Not
do
even the
it.
twin
Okay.
thing, just in general, a good fit as a backup four.
Yeah.
Being a backup in a rebuilding team, dude, that's crazy.
Damn, that's
Being
fun.
like an old prospect, no, I think it's like what 21, 22, but
Yeah, 22.
He ain't getting minutes.
It's gonna be tough, man.
You will see him overseas in 3 years.
Damn.
It's a rough world we live in.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm grading it a C too. It's just like it's a fine pick. Makes
Yeah.
sense at the spot, but it's like whatever. All right, number 24. I believe this is the
Hawks.
Dallas Mavericks that ended up getting this, but yeah,
No, yeah, the Mavs.
Yeah, the
got it.
Mavs. Yeah, thank you.
Olivier Maxence Prosper.
Yeah.
Omax.
Omax.
That's just hard. I'll learn these names eventually. I'm just gonna say Omax. 'cause everyone knows him.
I'm very high on Omax. I'm gonna give this pick an A minus. I'm very high on Omax, and in a system like Dallas, I just once again playing next to someone like Luca, you're gonna excel no matter who you are. It's someone with a defensive motor like him that can switch 1 through 4, and then he's been shooting the ball really good. You can rim run. I think they're trying to find like a DFS type player, and I think they kind of hit it on the nail here with Omax.
Yeah, I'm giving this a B plus, especially for the spot where they picked him late second round or late first round, and Dallas had a sneaky good draft. I
I think
really
they had a
did.
really good draft.
Oh, they did. No, they're definitely one of the winners. I gave it a B plus, and I know this is not my official comparison. Like, don't quote me on this, but like, I like Omax kind of playing in a Josh Green kind of role, but he's a bit bigger. Obviously, he's like a 3-4 instead of a
Yeah.
2-3. But just overall playing defense, he's not the best shooter right now, but he can develop it, and he's just a really good rim
And they
runner.
got,
And
they
he
got
runs the
Deshaun Holmes in this trade too.
Yeah,
Just gives them another up in their body.
Is he a positive asset nowadays?
I think he is.
Next to Luca, anyone can be.
That
a
is
pos-
maybe.
Next
I mean,
to Luca, anyone can be a.
And they got rid of
positive.
Davis Bertans.
And they got rid of the Damn, they had a really.
They had a
draft.
good day.
They did.
yeah.
Mark Cuban on the sticks.
All right, 25. We got Marcus Sasser going to the Detroit Pistons. I don't know why, but I'm not a fan of all these Houston players that are going real high just because they had a great regular season. Because watching them, I think a lot of these players, how good they were, was a product of their system. That being said, I do think Sasser has a lot of upside. I'm gonna grade this pick as a C plus right now. I think it's the right pick to make in the spot. He doesn't jump out at me as someone who can contribute right away for the Pistons, which, who'd they pick earlier too? That was Asar or Asur.
Asar.
Asar.
Yeah.
I'll get the names right eventually. But I think they picked two guys who I don't know how well they're gonna contribute initially, but they're building a solid team for the future.
Yeah, I think I give it a C. There's too much wing talent in this draft this late that's available right now to pick a point guard backup that's more of a just not upside, just kind of a winner. Like I don't want to compare him to Marcus Smart because that's not what he plays like, but just that kind of idea that I'm gonna be gritty. It's not gonna look the prettiest, but I'm a point guard and I'm gonna help my teammates. And just overall, he's not gonna get any chance of starting on this team. And I just think I'd rather him go to a contender. And yeah, there's players like Strother, there's players like Bryce Sensabaugh, just overall shooters that
Yeah.
if you picked a SAR and you already have Cade Cunningham's not good off the ball, they're that good off the ball in my opinion. Jane Ivey, Durant, you need a shooter. Besides Bojan Bogdanovic, who's 34 and he's not going to last much longer. You need a shooter. They didn't get it. C. But I still like Marcus Sasser as a player. He did go a bit high, in my opinion. Yeah.
I give this pick a C plus. I think it's too high for Sasser. I think it's more of an early second round type of guy. But I am a big believer in the experienced college guard. We saw it with Jalen Brunson. We saw it with Malcolm Brogdon. I think those experienced college guards always come out and surprise a lot of people. So I could see him surprising a lot of people too. But it's going to be hard for him to find minutes in that Detroit team. So he's going to have to fight for it.
Man, him and Killian Hayes, that's gonna be a crazy battle for minutes. All right, number 26, we got Ben Shepherd going to the Indiana Pacers.
I don't like this pick.
I don't really like it either. One, why are you picking a senior if you're the Pacers?
I don't like the pick. He's because he's just like, in my opinion, I feel like he's just a shooter. And
Yeah.
like you have a lot of those players already at the two guard. You have Buddy Hield, which unless you're trying to move him, you have Chris Duarte. Are you guys already done with Chris
They
Duarte?
might be. Dude, he was bad this year. Like,
Not even
And also, I
mention
don't like the
Mathurin
pick.
and
And
his
Mathurin,
dominance.
yeah,
on the ball.
Mathurin's already there. And I feel like if you wanted to take a guard here, then the obvious pick was Colby Jones. But they decided to go with Ben Shepherd. So for that reason, I get the pick a C minus. It's
Yeah.
Ben Shepherd could still be a very serviceable shooter, very good player. But I don't like the pick for the Pacers.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with you. C minus.
Yeah.
yeah, I give it a B minus. I think he's a really good shooter. Maybe he can play the backup too eventually, but it doesn't wow me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly didn't scout him that much, but people are like he gained a lot of hype recently for some reason.
Yeah.
It's a solid pick.
I mean, I guess these small college guys always gain a little bit more traction around the draft because they come out of nowhere, you know.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, who's this guy? He can do
Yeah.
this and he can do that. Maybe he'll be good, maybe he won't be. We don't know anything. Anyway, Nick Smith Jr. going to the Charlotte Hornets at 27. I was kind of surprised that he fell that far.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about fit in terms of him getting minutes for the Hornets. Rozier is still on contract, I believe. Yeah, so unless they're trying to move on from him, he is going to have to struggle for minutes a bit. But I'd grade this pick as a B. I think it's a solid pick for them. I think he has a lot of upside, and I think that's worth the potential risk of him not panning out.
Yeah. I personally give this pick an A because just a year ago, Nick Smith Jr. was projected to be a top 5 player in this class.
Second best player in high school.
Yep, he was just one injury kind of riddled his season off. He didn't really look that good in college because of that injury, but we know the potential's there. And I think at the pick that Charlotte got him, you could not ask for something more than that. So I give the pick an A. Home run pick by Charlotte.
Yeah, A as well. I just think if you're not going to take a vet guy who's going to impact the game immediately, then you take the guy with the highest ceiling.
Yeah.
That's Nick Smith. Just overall, the only real criticism he's had besides the injuries, by the way, the injuries had a huge factor this year at Arkansas, was the fact that he doesn't pressure the rim, which hopefully he can develop, because if he does develop that, there's not that many weaknesses in his game. He can play the 1 or 2. He can play next to
He
LaMelo.
could play the next one.
I mean, ideally, I think he's a kind of
He's
one,
kind of a
but I mean,
one, but you could play-
LaMelo's also very
he's a
versatile. If you have
combo
two
guard.
versatile combo guards, no one really has to be the primary point guard, especially when LaMelo's that good of a passer. So yeah, I give it an A.
All right. And then number 28, we got Bryce Sensabaugh.
To Jazz. Yeah, you got it.
I give this pick. I'm gonna go back-to-back high grades. I'm gonna give this pick an A minus. He's another player very similar to Keontae George, in which he led the entire NCAA in points per minute. Bryce Sensabaugh. He's a very electric scorer. He has all the tools necessary. He is I think he's 6'5", 230 or something. So he's strong. He has muscle on him. And I like the pick just because once again it's a really like a high ceiling on that at a low pick. So it's just a great pick I see for Utah.
Yeah, I'll give it a B minus. I'm just not high on Bryce, so it's not really much of a fall in my opinion. But he is his shooting is undoubtable. He can shoot the ball, and at the end of the day, that is his floor, and that's a pretty good floor. But I just don't think he'll develop that well. He's not fast. I don't think he'll be a good defender. I just don't think the playmaking's there, and just other parts of his game is questionable, especially the way he scored. You might
He kind of reminds me of THT a little, in terms of where it's like a smaller guard with more muscle and weight on him.
I see.
Yeah, and I just don't think THC was that complimentary. So I mean, if you want to, I think he's the guy he's either a star or he's just a catch and shoot guy, which is
Yeah, we'll see.
yeah.
You know, this is really off topic, but that just reminds me of Eric Pascal. I don't know what happened
Forgot
to
about
him.
him.
Man. Oh, he was. I really thought he was gonna be such a critical piece for the Warriors moving forward, and then
What do you have, like one bad year, or was it he actually just
I
like
know.
It was-
good? I don't remember.
Steph came back,
Yeah,
and
minutes got reduced,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
and he went to like Utah and didn't get minutes either. Maybe he just sucked, and we don't know.
maybe he did. Maybe he just got a lot of shots, but I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know. Shout out Kanye.
Anyway, C plus. That's my grade. Julian Strother going number 29 to the Nuggets. I
I
like this pick.
I like Strother. I didn't see him as a first round talent. I
Really?
saw him as an early second round pick. I think at this pick there were significant better options that the Nuggets could have taken, especially in a system like the Nuggets. Strother's going to be good, I feel like, in a Nugget system. But a player like Maxwell Lewis in that Nugget system, I feel like would have thrived.
Yeah,
So for that reason, I give the pick a C.
I'd say Strother is a better shooter than him, and you really never know. Even though MPJ and the Nuggets won a championship, you don't know the future of MPJ with that team. And Strother, I feel like, is a guy who can kind of fill in for MPJ. In my opinion, they kind of play similar because like they're both really good at 3-point shooting, but besides that, they're both like tall. I think Strother's 6'8", maybe
I don't think
6'9".
he's 6'8". There's no way. I thought he was like 6'4".
6'4".
Yeah.
You talk. I'm looking at it. That's
I
crazy.
swear Strother's like 6'4".
I'll grade this as a C plus. I think some of his weaknesses are gonna get hidden by the fact that he's playing with Nikola Jokic,
Yeah.
and I like the way he fits into the Nugget system.
So he's 6'6" without shoes. Could be 6'8", depending on if it's a half or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if he's on stilts, he'll be 6'10".
Yeah.
But yeah,
I just feel like it's a reach.
maybe a little bit, but
If they feel like he's the guy, I'm not going to doubt the Nuggets. Nuggets
At
always,
this
they
point-
always draft good.
You can't.
I also think they have a guy in Christian Brown who's already good on defense. You don't need that good of a defender anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Not mad out of the pick, but I just feel like there's better options.
and at number 30, we got the LA Clippers playing little brother once again by drafting a Kobe B. We got Kobe Brown going to the Clippers at 30. I gotta hear a little bit of your initial reaction
Okay.
on this.
I like Kobe Brown. I thought of him as more of a sleeper in this draft. Not someone who's gonna go first round, but someone who'd fly under radars and go in the second round, kind of surprise some people. He's a big, but he plays like a small forward on offense, kind of. He can shoot the ball. He can go inside still. He can rebound. He's the 30th pick of the draft. He's still gonna be. I think he could be a rotational piece someday. But I'll give. With that being said, I'll give the pick a C plus.
Yeah, he didn't wow me, so I really didn't scout him that much. And I feel like if you're going to get a big, I just think there were better bigs available.
Yeah.
Well, really just like one or two, but even then, you take it. I don't know. Yeah, I gave it a C+.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. If they wanted to go center, which I don't even think they want to go. I mean, yeah, they probably went for the forward/small forward. But Najee was there. I feel like Najee would have been a really good pick, especially on the Clippers. But what do we know?
I'll give it a C, just because I think there were a couple other guys they could have taken over him in that spot that would have fulfilled the same need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not if that's
Right,
the
that's
first
it
round.
for the first round, and
Uh,
don't worry, we're not doing
the
the whole second round. You don't
just
have
give
to worry
me
about
just
that.
like who are 3 players that stood out to you guys in the second round.
I have 4. I have Leonard Miller, 33. I had him at 13
I agree.
in my
yeah.
big board, so I think it's an
I agree.
easy steal. I mean, just the way that he pressures the rim, his defensive potential, the fact that he averaged over 3 offensive rebounds a game
Yeah.
in the G League Ignite, and he has a lot of shooting potential and passing potential. I just think he's a guy who can turn into not an all-star, but maybe just a really complimentary player. Like, I'm not gonna say it again, but like, I'm sorry.
MPJ?
You see Wiggins, they see Aaron Gordon, like those kind of players you want on your team,
I could see it.
and you want to reach for.
I could see it. I agree.
Another pick, Colby Jones, 34. I thought he's a really solid player. He just he doesn't really excel at one thing, but he's just really good at everything, and he's kind of just a winner.
Yeah.
40, Lakers. Okay, I didn't even say, yeah, Kings. Colby Jones went to the Kings. Not the ideal fit, but if you get an NBA player in the second round, you get an NBA player.
You got him.
And then, yeah, Leonard Miller went to the Wolves. I think that's a pretty decent fit.
Decent fit. Yeah.
Lakers get Maxwell Lewis. They need a backup 3. It's perfect. I think he is probably my steal of the draft. Like, officially.
I think he's my steal of the draft. I had that guy like on my big board at 25. I'm not even trolling.
Dude, crazy athletic, can shoot the 3. I mean, he played at Pepperdine, so he wasn't exactly getting winning minutes, and he, had more flexibility than you think. But I just think this guy has all the potential of the world, and especially after 2 years ago, we saw Trey Murphy drop in the draft.
Very Trey Murphy.
Not as much, but just he reminds me of Trey Murphy.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
And then should I say the last one? Trace Jackson Davis, pick 57.
That's a crazy good pick.
I just
for the
think
Warriors.
it's
Crazy
defensive
steal.
potential. He's a good screener. You saw what he did in Indiana. I think he averaged over 3 blocks per game.
Yeah.
And he might be a little bit undersized. I think he might be like 6'9", 6'10". But like we've seen centers, like one of my favorites, Onyeka Okongwu, just dominate even at that height because you can
Yeah.
be more versatile, more agile, more quick on your feet. And those are my steals. Do you guys
Yeah.
have any more?
I mean, you didn't mention Najee. I think Najee will be decent.
You went 31, right?
I mean, yeah, he's second
Where?
round.
No,
I
I know, but where?
don't remember.
I like a.
Oh, Hornets. Oh,
Hornets, yeah, he was with the Hornets.
Oh, yeah.
So he can be potential.
I
big
also
time,
like
yeah.
I also like Amari Bailey. I think the Hornets had a really good draft outside of Brandon Miller, of course. But,
Yeah.
I like GG Jackson at 45.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
I think
that.
That's a
that was
good
a
pick.
really
That's a
solid
that's
pick.
a I'm not gonna lie. I had that guy going like a month ago. I had him mocked at like 23.
Yeah,
So at 45, that's pretty good value.
and especially with Jaw out for the first 25 games, he'll get his opportunity.
Hopefully.
mean,
Unless
yeah.
they play Kenny Lofton over.
Memphis development is really good too. It's a good.
But he
place
can't
to
be a guy who just in the G League, you know? Like, he doesn't even have to get NBA minutes in his 1st year.
Okay, so last question: if you had to choose one winner of the draft, one team, who would you pick?
Oh, it's the Houston Rockets easily.
Yeah.
They had the 2 best value picks of the first round. I think in a lot of ways, and I mean getting Cam Whitmore at 20 is
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous. They got 2 top 5 talents, in the first round, and what they're doing in the offseason yet to be seen. They're going to sign a star, just sign a lot of complimentary pieces, but signing that kind of young talent onto your team and then having the cap flexibility to build whatever kind of roster you want around them, I think they're the definite winners of this draft.
Yeah. I agree. I couldn't agree more with Houston being the winners of the draft. I think Dallas comes as a close second,
Yeah.
and then Charlotte's probably in the top 5 somewhere.
Exactly.
If they picked Scoot Miller, I would have said Charlotte.
Yeah, but Michael Jordan had to,
Did I say Scoot
put his-
Miller?
Actually, I don't know.
Scoot
I
Miller.
think I just said Scoot Miller.
God.
Yeah, you did. No, you're swearing your
Because you
word.
were saying Leonard Miller earlier, and then
Dude, there's so many Millers.
God.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, that's the whole thing. It was
really
definitely
legit.
probably like an hour.
If I had to say a loser, Denver. I'm not going to lie. They traded for those picks, and I didn't like those picks they got.
Yeah, like those
I would have said the Warriors if they didn't get Trace Jackson Davis in the
I
second
think
round.
I'm going Magic. I think they're the losers.
Actually, no, I'm not going to lie. Give me the Wizards.
Oh, they are.
Give me the
yeah,
Wizards.
they might have to
Give me the Wizards.
who else did I
Bilal.
have
They just
below?
got Bilal. They didn't get no one else.
Yeah. No, it actually might have to be the Wizards.
If they're I'm sorry, the Magic was pretty bad in my opinion, but
I mean, they got.
It was, but
Then
they
you like Anthony
the thing
Black,
is
so you
the
guys
thing
like-
is they got talent. They just didn't get anyone who fits what they need.
Okay, if you guys enjoyed, this
All
is
right.
very long. I might chop it up.
Or don't enjoy, but please just watch it.